Hey, Timmy.
Hey, how are you today? Why don't you take a time and get that chat program going? I think you got to turn that on once we get going here, right?
What are you talking about?
Well, for our comment section.
It's already on, Tim. What
It
are you talking
is.
about?
Okay, well, that's new.
What do you mean it's
What
new?
do we got going this week?
I don't know. What have you been smoking some dope?
Yeah, I've been really having a rough time, okay? You wouldn't believe all the emails and messages and everything I got from people telling us, we're doing a great job, things are getting fixed all over the city, not because of them, but because of us.
Well, the funny thing is, Tim, is that almost everything we talked about, I don't want to say it's because of us because I don't want to have a big head, right? But fire hydrants got fixed after we talked about them, and manholes got fixed after we
Yeah.
talked about them, and potholes got fixed after we talked about them. So if you don't think somebody's watching a show, I
Yeah.
think they're full of shit.
Catch patients, flags. But beyond all that, what we got going on the outside is the hose here.
Well, listen. Before we jump into Cohoes, I just
Hmm.
want to talk about something because, Tim, I don't think in my entire life I have ever seen a world that seems so crazy, so upside down, so insane. I mean, whether you're talking about this whole Elon Musk and the attack on his Tesla, uh, people's cars being scratched, these morons out there
Yeah.
smashing windshields, burning down the dealerships. What the hell is going on in this country? I mean, I've never seen it. Now, I wasn't born. I was born 1967, right? So I know that there's been times in this world where protests have gone on. I know there's the Vietnam War and all kinds of other things in other parts of life, well before us, and I'm sure well after us. But in my day, I've never seen nothing like it.
Well, there's no consequences nowadays, Sean. Okay, I mean, you can go ahead and you could burn 5 cars in a lot. Okay, and nothing happens to you. Okay, and where are the Democrats? Okay, that no outcry from that party about all these cars parking that are getting burned to hell. Right, burned to hell. You don't hear them, but you know, a little leak on his signal app. Okay, and their heads explode. It's just
That's what I'm talking about.
insane.
So I'm sitting back. A little bit of breaking news today. I think
Yeah.
if anybody was watching the news before they
Yep.
jumped on the show, you'll find out very quickly that this world is fucked up, right?
Yep. Yep.
And we have three branches of politics. We don't have three branches of government. It's politics. You have Republicans, you have Democrats, and you have judges that are partisan Democrats and partisan Republicans.
Yeah, both,
There
yeah.
is no blind justice no more, right?
Mhm.
So we live in this country where it's okay to jump the border, bring murderers, rapists, drug addicts, child molesters, you name it.
Yep,
Those fucking animals have hopped over the border into this
yep,
country, right?
yep.
And that's okay. Nobody seemed to have a problem. Now we have a president who made a commitment. Whether you hate him, whether you love him, whether you don't give a shit about him, the
Yep,
guy made a commitment to close the borders, right?
yep.
And to get these people out of our country. We've seen girls getting murdered, raped. Now, there was just something, and I only caught it 15 minutes before I was trying to get the show up and running, where these illegals were on a cruise ship and they like raped a young man,
Yeah, boy,
like
14.
14, and one of them is HIV positive.
Mhm. Yep.
Why would there be anything other than fucking throw him overboard and shoot him on the way down? Why would we care whether
Mm.
this guy has some kind of rights to get into this country and then you can't get him out? But you know what? Welcome to DC, where the courts today just said to Trump that sorry, but you can't deport these animals back
Mhm.
to Venezuela or wherever the hell he was supporting them to.
Mhm. Yeah.
They now get to stay
They have
because
more rights than Americans. Yeah.
so some fucking moron judge, and yeah, I
Mhm.
am fired up, right? Some judge.
Yeah.
Well, there's three judges. Let me just get this straight. You have a Republican judge who voted in support of Trump.
Yep.
You have a Democratic judge who voted for the fucking animals. Okay.
Yep.
And you have another Republican judge who was appointed by George Bush. What do you think he is? He's an anti-Trump. So
Yeah.
Jed probably picked up the phone and said, remember we put you in and he called me names. He called me a moron because there's no way
Yeah.
that justice would say
Yeah.
put aside with the animals.
He called Jeb Bush low energy, if you remember.
A lot of things. And he was
Yeah.
right. The Bush family is a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, so these three judges in Washington, D.C., okay, they're not partisan. Oh yeah, they are, Sean. They're partisan. That's what I heard today. They're not partisan. Yeah, they are, Timmy.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
They
They're
judge shop.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're not looking at the law saying, well, listen, guess what? We'll even make a ruling on the side of caution and say he can get him out of this country. And if we're wrong, guess what? The Supreme Court will overrule us. Just like they'll overrule us if we make the wrong decision and say they can stay. Why wouldn't you rule on the side of the United States of America? Because you hate Donald Trump?
Yeah. I mean, these judges get all of the benefits and privileges, okay, of becoming a judge, and then they shit on their own country for
Well,
doing
they're
it.
judges for life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. I remember a long time ago when I first got involved in politics, and I was talking to all these old timers, having a
Yeah.
beer, just talking bullshit. And one of them said to me, the true collapse of the United States of America will happen when the people lose faith in the courts and say, we don't care what you say, we're not gonna listen.
Yeah.
And
you're
I
right.
feel like we're teetering on that right
We are.
now.
We are.
I mean,
agree.
Trump is probably on the verge of saying, I don't even care what any of you say.
Yeah.
You know,
Three
I'll
branches of
just
government, and
do it
there's
and
right.
let the Supreme Court
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
even the Supreme Court, you could tell them take a hike if you really want to. But they are really trying their best, Sean, to keep America, America. Okay, but these people, I believe, are just pushing, pushing, and pushing to try to collapse this country
Now the
from
very
from
judge,
within.
now the very judge who this moron who says, turn the plane around. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We're going to turn
Bosberg.
the plane around for you, you
Right,
fucking moron, right?
right, right.
This guy now gets the second case.
Signal. Yeah,
Yeah. So now
crazy.
he's got the second case. Isn't it amazing how you can just like you go to Price Chopper, you can just go, let me pick the judge I want.
Yeah, and he gets signal. You know what I'd tell him? Okay, I would just tell this judge, sorry, do you have a security clearance to hear this case?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know?
The Republicans are in a position
Yeah,
right now, okay?
yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I'm
Congress
just an
can
asshole doing a
defund.
podcast, right?
They can defund them, and they can also remove district judges.
Well, can they? That's
Yes,
the
they can.
question, right? So today they just had a guy on TV saying, the only constitutional judges are the Supreme Court. But then there was another guy that says, no, that's not correct. You can't just remove the judicial system, especially if it was put in this way or that way. I listen to these people, my head spins.
Yeah. Well, the
CNN,
speaker,
you can't do
yeah.
nothing. Fox, you can do anything.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, the Speaker of the House said they can defund them, and they can also remove districts. They're empowered to be able to do that.
Well, then why don't they just get up tomorrow and do it?
Yeah, I guess it takes a vote and all their bullshit.
Well, let's vote, because
you know?
here's what I've learned about politics, Timmy, and I've learned it by being part of it. I learned it by studying it. I always try to be the smartest and best that I can be. Okay, and I like to be a student of the game. So when I got in politics, I spent as much time as I could understanding the game and understanding the government. Right, I didn't just want to be one dimensional. I don't know what the hell's going on, but here's what I do know. Legislators are useless slugs that do absolutely nothing. I was one of them. I used to say they're paying me to do this, but let's go to the Congress. Let's go to the Senate. We're talking $180,000, $190,000, the best benefits in the world, and all the inside trading that you could ever get, because they're all worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, right?
Once they get in there, yep.
Yeah, they have better, they have
Well,
better trading than.
Well,
than
this is
I
what
ever had.
Cohoes is discovering. It's they're laundering the money and it cycles back to them.
Well, the bottom line is what I'm trying to say is
Yeah.
they do absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
Okay. You don't have to be up at a certain time. You don't have to go to your job. You don't have to report to anybody. You're just an independent elected official that gives you the greatest benefits, the greatest wealth, the greatest everything. They think they're rock stars. But here's what they do. They never achieve anything. But if you watch the hearings today over a email that was sent,
Hmm.
okay, and granted, there was a bad
Yeah.
thing happened, but luckily it was not so bad that it compromised our military or our our mission. But it was still bad. Somebody really made a stupid mistake. So the Democrats, waiting for Trump to do something they can jump on, have now for 4 days or 3 days, it seems like forever, just go out there and they're on TV talking about this one should resign, that one should resign, this happened, this is no good. How
Hmm.
dare you guys? You're the worst ever. Trump's got to go. Headset's got to go. All these people. They're a bunch of morons because for 4 years we sat here watching them let people jump over the border. They're supporting men and girls sports. They're supporting these animals being returned back to the United States, and they're worried about a fucking email.
Yeah.
Explain that to me, Timmy.
Well,
If
look
you're
at
out, somebody
right.
explain that to me because I don't get it.
There was a
I don't.
congressman on TV today, okay, when he was confronted by Will Kane. He says to him, he goes, "It's apples and oranges." Will Kane said to this congressman who was complaining about the signal leak. He says to him, "Well, when 13 Americans got killed in Afghanistan, you were silent. You didn't say a single word about it. You didn't call for Austin to get removed. You didn't call for this guy to get removed. 13 Americans died, all right? And none of you people were raising your voices about it.
None of them. None of
None.
them.
And
And
now
and, and, and
signal
instead they're trying to
a week, right?
justify.
Now you want heads. This
Right.
is how sick they are in Congress.
But that's what I'm talking about. It's not
Yeah,
even just Congress.
yeah.
It's from the local level of government all the
Everything on
way
up.
to the highest level. Listen, if anybody realized that you could be a legislator, make $200,000 a year, and never have to do nothing for 30 years,
Hmm.
get the best benefits, live a great life, don't even have
Kid,
to buy food because they feed you.
yeah.
It's just if everybody knew that, they'd all run for politics because
Hmm.
you don't have to be smart. Look at the people in office.
Well, you need hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to run for
Well,
office,
that's
right?
that's the
At that
problem.
level, and that's the problem,
The problem is the system, the party system.
right?
The party system, which has ruined the American dream for so many people, because the party system has caused the Hatfields and McCoys to live in conflict every
Mm-hmm.
day of our lives, because that's how they set it up to be, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because those parties will never let you in. You can't run to be a senator. You can't look at try to run to be a president as an independent. You can't even get on ballots.
right.
No
Yeah,
political party should have more power than the people that it serves. I want to run. They should say, Sean Morris, go run for president. Good luck. Go raise some money, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
But you can't even get on the ballot.
Hmm. They threw Kennedy off.
That's what I'm saying. Who
You
who
know,
are these fucking morons? You got a lady with purple hair. You got Maxine Waters. Is that her name?
Maxine Waters,
Maxine Waters.
and you got the
She
new case, Crockett,
Yeah, Crockett.
Jasmine
She's a
Crockett,
Crockett, all right. She's a
another
moron.
was
She's making fun of a guy in a wheelchair.
right.
She's a hood rat. That's
Yeah,
what she is. A
yeah, she
woman that
is
has no business being a representative in
of
this
of
United
the
States.
people.
But
Yeah.
guess what she is, bro?
Hmm.
She's in there. You
She's
know
in.
why?
Yeah,
Because they redistrict these little districts.
yeah.
You can go down to New York City. I have to get more people to vote for me to be a county legislator in a wider area than AOC has to get in New York City. She's only
Hmm.
got to go about 4 blocks,
Right,
right? Because
right.
there's 90 million people in them. And out of those 4 blocks and out of those millions of people, maybe 200 vote. So you just go get your cousin. You get everybody. She served a Heineken and a shot of whiskey.
Yeah,
Everybody cheating on their wife, she took down their names and says, "Hey, remember being at my bar? You better go vote for me."
Yeah.
I mean, everybody who had a secret girlfriend,
And
everybody who
she's
was
not,
drunk
yeah,
and
yeah,
pissed their pants, whatever.
right.
She
And
must
she's
have
not
wrote it all
very
down.
bright at all. I mean, I can't agree with a lot of the things she says. She's
Listen,
just
she
not a,
is bright. She's there. We're not. We're on a
no,
podcast in Cohoes, New York.
well,
She's out there with crowds of
she just got lucky, that's
85,000
all.
people.
She
She didn't
got
get
lucky.
lucky.
Yeah, she did.
No, she didn't. She hustled. She got in with the right people. She became part of the little club and she gets elected. Now, let's face it, I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but he was the most like one of the top 3 long-standing congressmen in New York.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
Yeah, I
about, but
can't
his
for the
name
life of me.
escapes me right now.
Yeah, right. A lot of things escape me, for Christ's sake. You know, the mind's the second thing to
Yeah,
go for me.
he was. I mean, he was nearly in line for Speaker of the House.
Yes,
That's
I
how
forget,
high
but
he
she
was.
comes out of nowhere. You know why? Listen,
Yeah,
let's be honest. You want to call a spade a
he
spade?
didn't work his ass off. That's
No,
all.
let's be honest. When I
Mm-hmm.
look at her,
Mm-hmm.
I say to myself, man, she's pretty hot. Okay? That's why people voted for her.
Yeah.
When she opens her mouth, you go, what a moron. And you know what? Everybody likes their bartender. So everybody who goes down to the bar says, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
vote for her. What the hell? I don't know that
Yeah.
old bastard.
Yeah.
People in politics, it is a white old man's club.
Yeah.
It really is.
And well,
And
you
some
got to
black old
right.
and some black old lady clubs because there's
Mm-hmm.
a Maxine Waters and these clowns.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for a new generation of people. It's time for term limits. It's time to say you can't run no more than 6 years and you don't get 190,000 a year and you don't get a pension of 200,000 a year and you don't get free health care for the rest of your life. You're not a fireman, you're not a cop, you're not a teacher. You're not risking your
Yeah.
lives. You don't even have to go to work. I used to say, I don't want to go to my meeting tonight. I don't even have to go. Nobody's coming to my house saying, hey, you didn't show up for your meeting, Sean. They don't care.
Yep.
They really don't. So I guess the moral of the story is we're in a bad way, bro. The country is in a bad way. And I don't know how you fix it because Trump is always going to have a current against him. The Democrats would say, did he just part the sea? You know, good bastard. Look at all the fish that died because you opened up the waters, right?
Yeah.
Well, he couldn't win no matter if he could cure cancer.
Yep.
They'd blame him for something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the
He's got.
Democrats, they're just morons. And I still, people will yell at me, but I'm still a Democrat because I want to believe that my mother's Democrats are going to come back someday and get some common sense. But I think I align more with the conservatives today than I do with my own Democratic Party.
Yeah. Me too.
How about you, Al Orban? How do you feel about the Democrats today?
Yeah.
Sean Van Sleet, how do you feel about the Democrats?
Yeah.
Anybody
Go ahead and
watching the
put
show?
your
Anybody who's
comments in.
watching the show who's a Democrat, do you feel proud of our Democrats? Do you feel like you belong to that group? Can you sit back at night and think about, yeah, I think men should be able to pounce women in basketball all day
Yep.
long. I don't care. They should be able to hang their
Sure.
nuts out in the locker room. What do I care?
Right.
I
Right in the
think that's
girls' room.
great.
Yep. Yep. That's
You
what
have to have that
they're
kind
all
of
about.
mindset,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? In order to agree, you have to have that kind of mindset.
Yep. And here's what Sean says. What's Sean say? It's
He
not the
says it's
4 to
not
8
48
years in
years
the
in the
White
White
House.
House. It's 45 to 50 years in Congress. I agree. It's
He's
absurd.
right. Yeah, he's right. I agree with him.
And if we don't figure out how to get control of people, I mean, look at nobody wants to be controlled, right? People like the freedoms of this country, but sometimes freedom can go too broad. I
You know,
mean, when you can burn down someone's house and they just give you an appearance ticket,
they're
if you could
burn down their
stab
cars.
somebody and shoot somebody and they give you an
Mhm.
appearance ticket, if you can rape somebody, they give you isn't that like, wow, we're out of control?
No, you can't even get deported for that on a green card now.
Well,
Okay.
now a green card, you should be able to be deported for any reason that the government thinks you should
And
be.
yeah, that's right.
Now they have more
But
rights than. I'm going to
right.
tell you something. I'm not going to say nobody's name, but I'm going to. I know I talked about this before, but I want to talk about it again. I live a quarter mile away from somebody who married a girl from Mexico, lived in Cohoes and in the United States for 20 plus years, raised kids, put them through high school, put them through college. And one day she got a knock on the door, and it's the federal government arresting her, saying that 20 years ago they lied on their documentation to become a citizen. And the lady said, "What are you talking about? I hired a lawyer. My lawyer did all of this stuff. What did I lie about? I lied about nothing. There's no lies."
Mm-hmm.
Well, they spent $65,000 and she was deported last year.
Wow.
And he had to just leave Cohoes during the end of the winter, the summer, to build a house in Mexico to
To
go
stay with his wife.
live because
Right.
they were thrown out of the United States
Yeah.
because supposedly she checked the wrong box. Something that silly. Deports people that lived
Yeah.
here, raised their kids. Yet we have murders, rapists,
Yeah.
gang members on a plane being sent back, and they say, turn your plane around. They have due
Mm-hmm.
process rights.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is due process?
You
What
know,
is
it's
due
a
process?
shame
How do you have
because
due process when you don't belong here?
you know, it's a shame when you spend that much time in a country. You're a law abiding citizen. You pay your taxes. You raise your children. You live a good life. You don't hurt anybody else. And then our justice system doesn't have compassion for that. Okay, it's black or white. You got to go. Okay, but then these criminals, as you're talking about, with these gang, this Tren de Aragua. Okay, they can rape, murder there, and then some judge says, no, 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 they got to stay.
To me,
It's
it's not
bullshit.
about compassion. It's about politics. We want, in the worst way as Democrats, to have as many people living in the United States of America so that we can hold on to our Congress seats, right? New York City, California, they're about to lose seats based on
Yeah.
population,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
The
And
only
then and
way
that
that they
state's threatening to
regain
turn red.
those
Yeah.
seats is to get more people into their cities, towns,
Mm-hmm.
villages
Yeah.
within that state. And so what they did is they let all these people cross the border. And then the
Mm-hmm.
first thing they did is said, "Oh, when you do the census, you are required to count bodies regardless if they are citizens or non-citizens." Now, what purpose would that be if the census is to provide finances to states, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the whole point of the census is to be able to determine your Congress seats, determine
Mm-hmm.
finances that you give out to communities based on population, sales tax. There's a lot of different reasons that they do the census. But what reason would they do it to say, "Oh, and count the illegals"? And
Mm-hmm.
then you sit back and see, where are they sending all the illegals? New York,
Mm-hmm.
California, all the places that are being
Texas,
prepared to
red
lose.
states.
Yeah, all the states that have lost population to Florida. Florida's picking up seats.
Yeah.
Texas is picking up seats,
Texas. Yeah.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
now they're going to have more Republicans. So
Mm-hmm.
they're scared shitless. So the only way to do it is under the umbrella of this humanitarian reasoning. We got to let these people cross the border. This is their lives are in danger. The government over there is going to kill them. Bullshit. They're coming over here. People are not stupid. You're letting them all come over to count their heads. And then New York City, they're so ballsy, that left wing council of theirs, that they tried to pass a law to let them vote in local elections.
Yeah.
And I got to give it to the New York State Court of Appeals, right? Because they
Mm-hmm.
shot it down.
Yeah. Surprisingly, yeah. But
They
they did.
shut
Yeah.
it down and said, "You know what? No, you can't do that." I don't know what else will happen. Will it go to this, the Supreme Court of the United States? I don't know. But I do know that people in this country better wake up. Too many people walk around with their heads in the sand, Tim. There's so many more people that don't pay attention, that don't care. than actually stay engaged.
Well, they have trouble reading and writing just coming out of high school, for Christ's sake.
Well, people just don't care about politics.
They
They have
don't.
this misnomer that it doesn't affect their lives, when in fact it affects every part of their
Yeah,
lives.
well, they got TikTok, they got all that other jar. What you can't go anywhere, Sean, without seeing somewhere someone. Go to the stores, go to anywhere. They're always looking at cell phones. I don't carry a cell phone. Okay, I just can't let myself be walking around looking down at a cell phone all the time. Okay, you're not in touch with your surroundings.
Well, if you're looking down on your cell phone as you walk around Cohoes, you may go missing in one of those potholes.
Sean, there's one on Manor Avenue. Okay, I don't want to call it a pothole. I don't know what. I've never seen this in a road. It's probably a 6-inch hole, and I could put my hand down there up to my elbow in it. And only 20 feet away, DPW fixed a catch basin and patched all around it with nice new blacktop, and nobody could see that up there. And
So
you know,
I thought this was funny because we I posted the stats for last month for the
hmm
show, and even I was amazed. It was 112 or 102,000 people.
hmm
Not as many as actually go to your page.
Yeah, I
Um,
had 185,000 in the
yeah,
last 28 days, and it
yeah.
it goes up about 1,000 or two every day.
So the show's on your page too. The show's on my page. The
Yeah,
show's on other people's pages. Shows on different platforms.
yeah,
I just looked at the our platform, which was 102,000 people, and I thought to myself, this is amazing because I'm getting messages from people talking about potholes from like New Mexico. why they asking me about their pothole from New Mexico? But I think the common thread is that local government and all these blue states ain't doing shit, and Cohoes is at the top of the heap, right?
yeah,
I mean, let's face it. You and I had this conversation. Bill Keeler is about Bill Keeler. It's about raises for him and his family. It's
hmm
about, using DPW workers to fix his property. It's about, getting petitions for David Soares because David Soares sent them a letter, which is unprecedented, saying, oh, DPW working on your house. That's not a violation of anything. But then they go and arrest the guy who's using stamps as the mayor of another city because he
Gloversville,
used the stamp machine, which,
Gloversville, yeah,
yeah, in Gloversville, exactly right. And we're using stamps right and left to send out personal Christmas cards
yeah,
because he don't want to buy the cards and he don't want to use his own stamps.
over
So
$800 worth.
as long as he can suck out every ounce of benefit for him and his family, why would he leave? He raises the job to $100,000 a year. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Cohoes is in a bad way. This guy is, I believe, will go down as the worst mayor in the city's history. I
hmm
believe he's ruined just about every nice thing. If you go down to the Canal Square Park, which was one of the staples that we got built, brand new,
Yep.
beautiful park, it's destroyed.
hmm
If you
And
walk down Ransom
mhm.
Street, half the beautiful treescape, all see, Timmy, me and you flickered out for a minute, and I don't believe for 1 second it had anything to do with you and I because
No, I don't
our
believe so.
bandwidth is good. The program, when I'm watching it, is saying syncing, allocate some resources.
Really?
Yet on the actual screen, when I'm watching the show, it shows a perfect picture. So I still believe that we're having some problems with EV Mux itself.
Yeah, probably.
Um,
Yeah.
but I taped it
hmm
and I'm going to send it to the IT people. But let me get back to what I was saying. I think Keeler has used all of the resources to benefit himself and his family. I think most people are starting to see that. The emails I get from people who hate me say to me, "Man, this guy's the worst."
hmm
I was telling you, if you just walk out my door, go down my street, take a right, there's a pothole or no, a water break
Yeah.
and the hole's as big as my kitchen table, and there's stones all over the road, which I had a conniption fit if we didn't clean up them stones.
Yeah. I
And
drove over that actually.
yeah, and there's a lip about this big that still
Yeah.
you whack your tire.
Sean, there's one on Main Street right now. Okay, this thing's got to be 6 inches deep. Just as you pass the Armory, and you
Yeah, I
got the
seen it.
DePietro. You
Yeah.
drive you got to drive down Main Street about 5 miles per hour, or your car bottoms out hitting the road from all the potholes. It's that bad, that street.
Well, it's the whole entire
Yeah,
city,
it's
and
everywhere.
why they can say winter is full of potholes. Winter
Yeah,
also has the ability to cold patch and fix potholes that will take out people's tires.
yeah.
So the moral of my story is
Mm-hmm.
I showed that pothole on the podcast last
Yeah,
month, or we talked about it.
yep,
And after 3 weeks before I mentioned it, 4 weeks,
yep.
5 weeks, I mentioned it. And the next day it was filled in. But the stones are still scattered all over the
All
street.
the roads.
So if you have a motorcycle and you're driving up there and you hit them stones, you're going to end up on your head. A bicycle and your
Yep.
car, it's like, boom, 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 boom. I mean, how
If you
hard
had a
is it?
kid ride down a main street on a bicycle right there, at, say in the dark at night, he's going to get knocked off the bike.
Yeah,
That's how bad
it's
that
terrible.
one is.
What else going on, co-host Timmy?
Well, look at hey, there was a big thing, a big meeting at City Hall regarding the sale of the old library. Okay, 169 Mohawk Street. Now, what was going on there is we put it out on the podcast, and I put it out on my Fifth Ward page. Okay, for some reason, Sean, um, I'm looking at two documents. Basically, you have your online assessment roll and you have the final assessment roll. The final assessment roll, even though it's missing a comma, there's 4 digits, and they're listing that value, full market value of that building and grounds, okay, property, right around $5 million. However, for some reason, we are looking to accept the bid for only $230,000. Okay, on that, you would know more about the
Well,
value of that property than I would, but it just something stinks about what's going on there.
isn't that any different, or is it any different than Norlight
Mm-hmm.
and Saratoga sites? Right?
Mm-hmm.
They complained that Norlight was a polluter and people shouldn't live there, and so they kicked people out after 50 years, 60 years,
Yep.
and then when you compare industrial land over in Troy, there's two
Mm-hmm.
plots of industrial land. They're going for about 4 million apiece,
Right.
2 acres. Cohoes is like 4 acres,
And what
and
was
they're
it? 35 grand, was it?
well, they were saying that it was worth 15,000 or 20,000 to sell it
Mm-hmm.
from the housing to Cohoes, and Cohoes is selling it for, I think they said $150,000. So
Yeah.
a piece of land that was valued at 400 industrial in Troy, 4 million,
Mm-hmm.
um, is only going to be worth 125,000. I'd have bought it for
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
You
Randy
know,
is commenting. He's saying
well, I
the
don't listen
entire
to Randy.
downtown isn't worth $5 million.
Well, he's probably right, but I mean, I don't think he's an expert in
Yeah.
assessment and any of those things.
Well,
I would think that the assessment
yeah,
would be high because I don't think the city really cares what they assess it at because
yeah,
they owned it.
yeah.
And I think
No,
anybody that bought it, Randy, would probably be right that anybody who buys it would ask to have it reassessed.
yeah,
Now,
or
if you could
appraised
buy
or
it,
whatever. Yeah.
I can't believe anybody would buy it if it took $3 million to renovate it, like Steve Napier said. Oh, we have to buy this,
Mhm.
the old Cohoes Bank because there'll be $3 million to renovate it. I
Which,
doubt very much somebody's going to put $4 million into
yeah.
an old church and try to. How many apartments can you get out of the old church?
From what
Randy,
I
how many apartments can you get out of the
from
old
what I
church?
was being told from people at the meeting, there was a guy there, and he was talking 20 to 30 apartments that he could squeeze in that place, and the rental ranges were upwards of 21 to $3,200.
Yeah, well, he's pulling his willy because
Yeah, I know that.
some of the
Okay.
nicest apartments. I will tell you this:
Hmm.
when we got Ransom Street up and running, and it was really kicking ass.
Yeah.
The reason we had it kicking ass is because we started with getting apartments first,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they were paying between 18 and 2,000 a month.
Hmm.
That's market rate in the city.
Yeah.
Okay. I will tell you that there's not many people still paying that because most of the people I talked to moved out. They don't want to live downtown. There's nothing downtown. There's bums, there's drunks, there's crime, there's drugs, there's dirt, there's garbage. The sidewalks are full of grass again.
Yeah.
Nobody cleans up. Sean Higgins, he's the city councilman, posts a thing and he shows that little White Street Park and says, "Look how beautiful our city is." Maybe he ought to walk the fuck out of that little park and just head right or head left and run into some of the garbage and some of the drugs and some of the cans and some of the bottles and some of the
Yeah.
weeds and some of the broken trees. And maybe he
Yeah.
would say, maybe I should walk a little further than stand.
Yeah.
Last year, we did a whole podcast on the fact that little park had weeds 7 foot tall. Remember,
Yeah.
you couldn't even see the lights.
Yeah.
You couldn't even see the benches.
Right. Look at there's no way that I'm going to say that property's only worth $230,000. Okay, not when it's got a full market value assessed by the assessor now. Okay, is there a market for abandoned old churches? I would say no.
I'm not
Okay,
sure that I'm not sure that 250,000 is too low on that. I mean, I really don't. I would think that, I would think that if you're trying to get rid of it
if
instead
you're
of
trying to get rid
and you want
of
somebody to
all,
invest and they're going to invest, you know, two,
yeah,
$3 million supposedly, and then the assessment actually starts paying taxes because the assessment is meaningless when the city
well,
owns it. They don't pay themselves taxes,
which is
right?
true.
So let's just say it gets assessed for, you know, 350,000. I don't know. I'll just use that number. Well, what is it? Hey, Randy, if you're listening, what is it? 80, they're only paying 60% of the assessed value anyway.
I think it's
We're not
50,
at
50%.
100%.
Look, I mean that my how I just went to my auto insurance company and homeowners and stuff, and they have my property valued more than that church. Okay,
Well, I
it
disagree with Randy
depends.
because there's other ways to sell that property. The city could have you know, sent it over to the LDC, the
CLDC, yeah,
IDA. They could go out and try to sell the property, but they don't do a very good job of trying to market the
yeah,
city. They just, they wait till something falls in their lap and then they say, "Look what we did. Where's the bakery?
yeah,
I don't see nothing cooking down there. I don't smell no donuts."
yeah.
All right.
So
But
look at
so it's 50, Randy says 50%. So 50% of the
yeah,
assessed value.
that's what I told you, 50%. Yeah,
But I think the city can go out to bid, but they don't have to sell the property if they don't. They could cap it and say, "Hey, we got to get at least 150,000, or we're not going to sell it." So if somebody bids 20 grand, they don't have to accept the
yeah,
bids.
yeah,
And they also, there's other ways to sell it because the city working hand in hand with the LDC, the IDA. There's a whole bunch of different methods,
yeah,
to just say we're going to go out to bid and accept the first bid. I don't know. Maybe it's worth 250. I don't know. I really don't. I
yeah,
don't know how much damage is in it. I don't know if the city's going to fix the roof with the grant that they had first. I don't know what they're doing
yeah. They did
because
get a state grant for that. I think 1.5 million. I think.
I
I could
think
be wrong.
Randy, I was talking to him. I thought he told me that they could take the grant that was sent up for the library and get a state legislative approval to transfer it to the new one because it's still for the library. So
He might be
technically,
right.
it's not for a building, it's for the library.
Mm-hmm.
So if the library now goes from that building to that building, they can transfer it over. But Timmy, I told everybody when I was the mayor, and I told everybody continuously to this day, the greatest thing that we could have ever done, is bought the community center for the 450,000, got the $1.5 million grant that they had to fix up all of the pool, the lockers, and everything else, and turned it into the library, the one-stop shop, library, recreation, swim lessons, indoor activities for recreation during the winter months. It would have been a beautiful thing. Green space around it,
Yeah.
community
Say if
space
they could get
inside with computers.
right. Say if they can get 300 grand for that thing. Okay. Say they can. Would you take that money if you were mayor and invest it into buy the community center and see if
So
you
what
can't
I
do
would have
that?
done,
Because
is
my
I would have
question is,
bought
what do they do with that money?
Well, I would have bought the community center
Right.
regardless
Hmm.
because you got to remember something. We had a master plan. We
Yeah.
started the revitalization at the music hall. Remember?
Yep.
and we turned the music hall into something really special, which then transferred all those people going there to our restaurants and to living in our downtown. It really just was like the spark. It was like, do you ever like those little black caterpillars that they
Yeah.
go across the ground? That's what it was like. The first thing we did is fixed up the sidewalks on that in that area to show everybody that we were really committed to moving Cohoes in a new direction. And plus, we knew that in order to get some of the bigger grants, you had to show you had invested in your own community. Then we fixed the music hall. Then we brought in Holly Brown. And then
Yeah.
we went and got people to invest in housing, because we understood you need housing and people before you have businesses. Because if you open up a business in a dead city, what you'll have eventually really quick is a dead business. So we brought in people to develop all of the property. The Bonaquisti brothers took the Cohoes Hotel, historic Cohoes Hotel. We
Mhm.
spent $3 million, turned it into something wonderful. First thing we did, cut the ribbon, and $900 to $1,250 a month living on Ransom Street in his apartments, right?
Mhm.
And then Todd Drake across the street on White Street with a $4 million. And we started Danny O, and we started expanding. And next thing you know, we had about 100 people living on Ransom Street, young professionals with money in their pockets.
Mhm.
Then we went out and said, let's now start trying to get some, restaurants and some bars. And it all fell into place, because when we went to the bars and restaurants and said, hey, we got over 150 people living right on this small little street. We got 30,000 people visiting the Cohoes Music Hall. We got 12,000 people coming to rock the block. Next thing you know, you got 50,000 people visiting a street that's a mile long. And guess what, Timmy?
It's
It
all
was
gone.
booming.
Yep, it's all gone
Restaurants
now,
were
though.
calling me up. We want to move in. We want to move in. We had restaurants coming in. We had bars coming in. We had
Yep.
nail salons. We had Wan Sushi. We had all these places coming in. And then we were like, holy shit, we got to get some parking here, man. We don't have no parking. So we were trying to get a grant to get a parking garage. And we were going to put the parking garage across the street from the Cohoes, the Cohoes Music Hall. And at the
Mhm.
same time, before the furniture store moved in there, we were in talks with ShopRite in Hannaford. Both of them were looking to come and put a grocery store in the downtown, because they were coming up with their idea. It was called Hannaford on the Go, or Hannaford to Go,
Yeah.
or something to that nature. It was the small version, but it was a true grocery store that sold everything that you needed. And they seen all the people on the street. They seen the visitors on the street. Like everything else, Timmy, as I moved on, I didn't see any of that stuff come to fruition, and I don't believe it will come to fruition now. And I think Ransom Street is on its way out, and I think Cohoes is in a lot of trouble. And the hardest thing to resurrect is a city that was dead,
Yeah.
then that shot up like a rocket, and then died this quick, because investors don't want to invest in that.
Yeah.
So
Well, look,
unfortunately,
I would have liked to see the community center back up and working. If anything,
well,
yeah,
listen, we had Danny McCoy on the show, and he told you
yeah,
I never stopped calling him, trying to get him to buy the community center.
yeah,
Gil, myself, Sean Ward, we were all really big advocates for the community center. So Danny steps up when Keeler fails the community,
mhm,
and he buys it. And guess what he gets? He gets like $1.5 million grant for swimming pools
yeah,
that was available to the city if they would have applied. And they were begging people to apply, because not
yeah,
a lot of cities have those type of swimming pools.
right, yeah,
So they were looking for
true.
cities like Troy and Albany, and there's not a lot of them, especially in the capital district.
Yes, that's
So they
true.
wanted
Yep.
to give out that money. So he could have bought the place for $450, sold the library for $250. So now he's only got $250 of city money invested. $1.5 million for a swimming pool fix, fix the pool, get
Yeah,
lockers, get the new steam room up and running. The gym was already in great shape. And the guy who owned it after the community center bought it, he put 250, 300,000 into new gym, new
yeah,
weight room. And I would have then also closed off a spot and had some community space with computers for kids. We were talking about having like driving lessons to teach kids how to drive, and have a library.
Yeah.
And remember, all the seniors lived there too, so they could walk across. It was a great one-stop shop for Cohoes.
The opportunity,
It
and
was an
we have no
opportunity
vision.
of a lifetime. Keeler blew it.
Yeah.
It's gone. Now it's owned by the county. So the county's going to do what the county think is best, right? So the
Yeah.
county may say, well, we'll use the pool, but we're also going to have mental health here, or we're going to have this here, or
Yeah.
we're going to, because they're going to use it for what's best for the county.
Hmm.
Now they'll have some, Cohoes will have a little stake in it, but at the end of the day, instead of owning it and controlling it and
Yeah.
providing something fantastic for this community, we
We
gave it
lost it.
away.
Yeah, we did.
And then he but here's the worst part. He goes and buys the old fucking bank
Right.
for 450,000
Which was on the
and needs
tax
about $3 million worth of renovation. Randy, where are you? How much is the renovations for
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 the new
this?
library. Okay. The
Yeah, how
new
much are the renovations to turn this bank into a library?
needs a new roof. Okay.
Very
Yeah.
little parking. It's got a small parking lot, but it's in the middle of your downtown. You don't want the middle of your downtown having the library. Because I got to be honest with you, all of you library lovers, you can throw darts at me right now if you want to, because yes, I'm going to say it. Libraries are ancient news. They're outdated. I don't see the value in them. I really don't. You're held to this, library standard. Forget the library. You can have books anywhere. You can have computers anywhere. You can
Well,
have
pretty much the internet has replaced the
yeah,
library, and
2.3
and
million, Randy
right,
said.
and I
2.3 million.
right, and I would say kids nowadays. You might have older people going down to the library, but I don't see so much as
Jimmy, the last
kids
time I was in
going
the
down there.
library, there were people in there sleeping on the chairs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the homeless go to the library.
Yeah.
You had some old people in there crocheting. You can crochet you can have crochet night at the senior center or the community center.
Hmm.
Again, the community center is got everything that you need. Now you got Rock the Block on Thursdays. What are you going to do? Tell people in the library that they can't go on Thursday nights, or you're going to tell the Rock the Block to lower their music because it's bothering the old people in the library
Hmm.
or the bums?
Well, look at I got a hot tip. I
I
don't know
heard that.
how.
I heard it wasn't so hot.
Yeah.
What's your
Well,
hot
look.
tip, Timmy?
So here it is. Okay. I'm hearing rumors now. This is from some inside people, and I don't know how true it is. My guess is not going to happen, but I'm being told somewhere in April they're starting to looking at the council having workshops being held in the senior center.
Well, that's not nothing new because, uh, again, Randy Knifka's on here. I'm glad he is because we were going to put all of our meetings at the
Yeah.
senior center. We were going to invest $50,000 to put all of the TV,
Hmm.
all of the online streaming, all
Hmm.
of the hookups for the TV stations when they come because they need to hook up their cameras. Everybody would have had a computer. Everybody would have had a state of the art. Everybody could get in there and out of there.
Hmm.
City Hall is a beautiful building, but it's not practical.
Not for the meetings. It's like
Not for people that even with
it's an
handicaps, they can't.
echo chamber. You hard to get up to the second floor. But the reason why I'm saying it's a hot tip because they're talking about this looks like it's going to actually become a reality. We'll see.
Big
We'll
deal.
see.
I mean, does that take like? Is that like some kind of magical thing? How about they figure out how to fix the city? How about they figure out how to fix what they've ruined in 3 years? And it isn't just King Keeler. He's ruined it. But you know what? Everybody who sat on that council, Lapdog Billy McCarthy and the rest of them, they just sat there and let him do it.
Well,
And I got to be honest with you. I'm not on the show to make friends. I have enough friends. I have the only friend I need, my dog Finn. I don't need any other friends in my life no more, right? Here's the bottom line. Everybody who's on the council right now does nothing. And everybody who was on the council back then does nothing. And I was the only guy that had a fucking Randy Knifka, who was a psycho, who had to yell at me every day of the week, 24 hours a day. I give him credit. At least he got me to put up no crossing signs for turtles
down at the pond, yeah.
down at the pond. But at least they engaged. We may
Hmm.
have a lot of disagreements because some of the shit was stuff that I thought was far off. But that was what they believed should be done. So you give them credit. They weren't afraid to stand up Randy Knifka tried to have me arrested out in front of the. You were there. He said I
Yeah, I
beat him
know.
up.
He lied
I
like
said to
a
the cops, if I beat him up, he'd be dead.
he lied like he was actually baiting you. Look at the detectives asked me to go down there and tell him what I saw, and I said Randy was baiting him. He was trying his best to get you to hit him, and
Yeah, and I didn't even
I was
choke him
10
or
feet
nothing.
away.
By then, I was becoming an old man. I didn't even choke people no more.
Yeah. So anyway, so we got some nice new flags, American flags on City Hall after you said, "Hey, the flags are all torn up."
Next
But
day, they put it up.
they put the new flags on up, but then they left the Ukrainian flag in place, and it's all ripped to shit. You
If you
mean,
drive by, you got the nice new American flag. They got the
yeah,
Ukrainian flag. It looks like it's tethered the
it's all
92 pieces.
no kidding.
Obviously, we don't support Ukrainian girls because they got it ripped to
God
shit.
saying, look, why didn't you
I mean,
replace
listen,
all
why does it
three?
take why does it take truth, lies, and political bullshit to embarrass you about a flag? It still was at half mast all the way up until the other day.
Yeah, it
I don't want to
was.
hear it was broken. Guess what? If
No.
the flag got broke, the first thing you fix is the flag.
Yeah, they keep saying that when they get it at, they either forget to put it at the half mast or they forget to take it on down. I don't know how many times I've gone down there. Flag is at half mast, and then the post office right there, it's at full staff. Happens all the time.
You know, even
Okay.
on my podcast, my buddy Jimmy's got to bust my balls about the
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys, but he's
Yeah,
a
I know it.
Pittsburgh Steeler fan. Who are
Hmm.
they going to have?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers? Give me a break.
Yeah. So
Give me a break.
anyway,
Anyway, what, Tim? Anyway, I
anyway,
lost my train of thought. I was
look at
thinking about Aaron
so
Rodgers.
right. So anyway, look at these since last week we got a bunch of catch basins repaired, okay? Potholes there and
Oh yeah, Randy
it,
said, "Don't forget, I tried to have the court officers throw him out of the city. I did because I was going to fucking kill him. So I
well,
said to the court
he
officer,
saved
throw
your
this.
life, Randy.
Yeah, I saved your life. You're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Or you
anyway,
would have looked like the tethered flag of the Ukrainians hanging off the flagpole."
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, what I got here is we got one more fire hydrant down on Ontario Street that's in, and several people sent me. They're sending so many places where there's potholes. I said, look, take photos, and you're welcome to post them on my page. Okay, and and look at there's a city portal in which you can go right on the city website, and it says report a problem. You just go in there and do that, and this is what I do. I go, not only do I put them on my page, but I send them through the portal, and Teresa Flatley always responds and says, hey,
Well,
I
they
got it and I
respond because
passed
it's
it on,
you.
you
They're
know
afraid of you
yeah.
because you got a big mouth.
Well, Jay Young said it best. He goes, I'm wishing you a happy birthday because if you don't, you're gonna dig up shit dirt on me and post it. Well, you know, I shouldn't be viewed that bad.
Timmy, listen. You and I both know we've lived in this city our whole lives, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anything out of hatred for anybody.
No.
I call it the way I see it. And I truly believe the city of Cohoes is becoming a shithole
Yeah.
in many different ways. To the point where you know that I told you that chances are next year I'll be living in Florida,
Hmm.
right? I have no desire to live here no more. I drive by the same dirty streets, the same big, huge potholes, the same crumbling wall down at the bottom of my street. This, you drive by all the things that you once built up to be, beautiful and grand, and they're all crumbling apart. And, you know, there's no reason for me to stay here any longer. And so I hope that people somehow get engaged. And it needs to be new people. It can't just be regurgitated people. I've heard some names about people who want to run for mayor. They want to run because it's a $98,000 a year job now. and you don't have to do nothing and nobody's your boss. But none of those names are people that will ever get this city up off the ground without any
Mhm.
connection, without any knowledge, without any kahunas, and without many years of understanding government. You'll be like everybody else who's sitting in them seats. And there were some real smart people that sit in them seats. Ron Penestreri, John McDonald. These are
Yeah.
not dummies. These are smart people. John McDonald, I mean, if he was on the show, I'd say, John, I didn't see you do a whole hell of a lot in the city. Really, you know.
You
Bobby
didn't complain
Signoraci,
when you had.
Bobby Signoraci was one of the best because he had no money.
Mhm.
Okay, and he still kept the city afloat, and he got some good projects off the ground. I'll give John McDonald some credit for getting the mills up and running. Um, but these are things that the state government really did because they handed out the grants to these, to revitalize old mills into apartments because they were just burning to the ground. Especially here in Cohoes, we were known for some of the biggest mill fires in the country. So I know that those guys are smart. I don't have to get along with them and love them to tell
Yeah.
you that John McDonald's a smart man. Kenneth Sturry's a smart man. Bobby Signoraci's smart man. Um, Out of all of them, I think Bobby's the smartest because he did more for this city when we had nothing. At least for John, they gave him more money, right? Kenneth Sturry gave him
Yeah.
$750,000 a year in distressed city grants. Signoraci had nothing. Okay.
Well,
Um,
the new ad, man, it's all about lining your own pockets.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Where
There's
we're at.
no name that I heard of that I would go, holy shit, Cohoes is going to be a better
Yeah.
place.
Yep.
And I'm sad because I think we did a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff, and a lot of people hated me for it. A lot of jealous people, and they couldn't wait to knock me down a few pegs. And at the end of the day, you know, they win, I lose. I'm gone, and the city's dying, and I think that I was the best guy for the job, and I don't think anybody was better than me that's sat in that seat, and and I don't think anybody's going to come along and get done what we did in 3 years. I just don't see it. So, for me, I'd rather go to Florida. And now somebody just pulled your
Dog.
plug again. You back?
No, nothing. You disappeared, not me.
No, we both must have because you
Really?
disappeared too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Again, hey, everybody, listen. It's not us. It's this program, and we're gonna. We know that Timmy upgraded his up speed. I upgraded my up speed, so we
yeah,
didn't really have any problems other than the program. And I don't know if this is just because of
yeah,
I don't know. I've never seen on my side on the dashboard saying syncing, allocating resources. I don't even know what that means. It happened to us once before, but we're going to try Riverside, which is a whole nother program. We're going to try it for the next show next week. See how it is. It's going to
yeah,
be a learning experience. It'll take a few years for us to learn how to do this podcast, right?
yeah.
You know,
Well, we'll give it
Jimmy,
a shot, but this did freeze a couple of times or dropped out. I don't know why,
yeah,
but
it dropped out because you
you know,
disappeared. I disappeared.
you know.
Um, I'm sure people are wishing Keeler disappear.
Mhm.
Hey, but
Well, you know
listen,
what? You look at I'm just going to finish with this, okay? He did have the ethics board, make a
okay,
decision
let's
against
talk
him. He's
about the
not too
ethics board,
happy.
Jimmy. Let's talk about the ethics board. Let me just lay it out and you tell me because this is your forte, right? So Keeler is found guilty, if that's the
In
correct word.
violation, okay?
Yeah,
Not
so
once
he
or twice.
violated the rules by getting signatures and thus using city resources
Yeah, in
to
City Hall. Yeah,
campaign.
right. He did that.
Stanley Shesda, who's his buddy, who gets
Hmm.
one of those free Christmas cards that the taxpayer pays
And
for,
donates to his campaign.
donates for his campaign, and is appointed as the member of the ethics commission. He basically says, "Oh no, Keeler didn't do nothing wrong, even though the other four did." But
Yeah.
they also said Keeler, because he is not an employee,
Hmm.
doesn't fall under the same standards because he's an officer, and therefore he can't be held in violation of campaigning during work hours.
Hmm.
And then some little prick who's never willing to give up the bone who knows that thing
Right,
like he's a pit bull,
right here. Yeah.
calls me up and says, "Hey, Sean, got to read something to you. It says that an employee or I'm going to paraphrase this, an employee or an officer are both considered the same if they sit on a board, meaning that if you're a board member, you are held to the standard regardless of what your title is,
And
correct?
what? Yeah, and basically the language is if you're an officer or an employee, okay, paid or unpaid, okay, includes any member of any municipal board.
Basically what
So
I said,
with
paraphrased.
exactly that language. So I came back and I said to the council president, hey, I called him up. Isn't Bill Keeler a member of a municipal board? The board of managers? He goes, yes, he is. I said, then he should have been cited as a member of the board, not as an employee, as defined right in our ethics code. So you know what? That threw such a big wrench in the works that I even got an email from April Trudeau, who said the problem that the council is having is they don't know if they have the authority to issue any kind of penalties. It says so they're all in limbo. But the bottom line is, I think April 9, the ethics board is going to have a meeting, and Adam is telling me that he's going to go to that meeting and say, hey, he should have been charged or cited as a member of a board, not as a employee or officer, because that's what the language of the code says. And you know what, Sean? The Albany city of Albany has the same code with the same language, except they've even extended it to in-laws and stuff like that.
Well,
Anyway,
I told you that all of these boards
yeah,
and their bylaws,
yeah,
city charters, they're all just boilerplate. They were made
yeah,
by the state.
yeah. It's a template.
Yes, it was just a template. And if you look at our
Yeah,
charter and you look at the template that's back there from
our
19,
charter is even a template. Yeah,
yeah, they're all templates. They're just, you fill in Cohoes, you fill in.
yeah. You
The only
cross
thing
this out and
Cohoes,
say
the,
this. Yeah.
the biggest problem with Cohoes is when you don't even know when your birthday is, you gotta know that you're in trouble. Okay. When they can't tell you when the city was incorporated and its birthday,
Hmm.
uh, you know shit's going down the tubes quick, Timmy.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? I mean,
So, so I mean, they don't even know what to do with themselves. I mean, it's just really, I'll finish it this way. As we started this podcast, it's about accountability, right? We can't even hold ourselves accountable in our own city. We can't even police ourselves when you have a mayor clearly in the wrong here, and we have no process to say, "Hey, you can't be doing this." Okay, it's that bad, you know.
yeah,
It's almost
I
depressing.
think the biggest problem is, and it's my famous saying, is that when you rely on government
Yeah,
to oversee government, you ain't getting good government.
you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah, you're going to get nothing done.
Yeah,
So I'll give credit to the board, Brendan LeQuee, and who else is
and
on
the
the
other
board?
four that voted
Yeah, I give
in
them credit
favor, I give them
because
credit there.
yeah, they went out and said, no, you know, Stanley, you ain't going to convince us to do what you want us to do for your buddy.
Yeah,
He
and that's
did
good for
something.
them.
And then, you know, he goes back and threatens to sue each one of the council members.
Yeah, which you can't
So I
do.
hope the council members say, you know what, screw you, you big goony looking bastard.
Yeah,
And this is what we're going to do to you. $500 fine and community service when you pick up garbage on
picking
Remsen Street.
weeds out on Remsen Street, especially around Canal Square,
We
and
want you to pick
also
up.
reinstate charge 3616-3 against him for or C against him because
But
that applies to him.
We'll forgive him if the rotten prick would
Yeah,
just put up the Hall of Fame,
yeah,
the Musical Hall of Fame,
mhm,
because all of those great people in our city that gave us beautiful music and fun nights for so many years deserve to have their plaques put back up in that park,
yeah,
period. And
mhm,
before I leave tonight, I want you to remember Johnny Moore's birthday bash is
yeah,
April 19th. Tickets
mhm,
are on sale right now at the music hall. That'd be my brother Johnny. He's coming out of retirement to play for his birthday bash. I think he's going to be 60. I think it's his 60th
really.
birthday. Yeah. So, hey, if you like Johnny Morris, come on down to the music hall, watch him play his birthday bash. It's going to be a hell of a time. It's always fun when we get together with all of our friends throughout the years in the city of Cohoes. And I think it's $25 or something to get in. And I'd love to see you there. And Timmy, I'm leaving for Florida. Well, actually, it's Friday at 4 a.m. and I'll be back on April 3rd. So
Hmm.
I don't know what days that are. What
April
day?
April 2 is a Wednesday. April 3rd is Thursday next week.
April 3rd is Wednesday. All right. So I won't be home. So we won't be doing a podcast unless we do it Thursday night, which is something we
Right.
possibly can do. I would try to do it from downtown Disney, but I may be tied up with my grandkids.
Yeah. Okay, doke.
All right. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining Truth Lies Political Bullshit. Always good to see you. And hope to see you maybe next Thursday instead of Wednesday.
And subscribe to the channel,
And
guys.
subscribe to the channel. Hey, let me put that up. I forget to do it all the time. Hey, everybody, Sean Morris for Truth, Lies, and Political Bullshit. If you take 5 seconds of your time to subscribe to our page, help us grow. We're seeing 120, 130 people, 120, 30,000 people in the last couple months visiting our show in a 30-day period. We'd love to have you subscribe. It's not easy to get people subscribing to that YouTube channel. That's the hardest thing. They're subscribing everywhere else, but go over to YouTube. Love to see us grow on YouTube. Helps us promote the program. And we appreciate it. And until next week, I'm out of here.